This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
So, welcome to Rock Bottom with Ryan. Glad to finally have you on the show.
Thank you.
And would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Shauna. I am an alcoholic addict from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
All right, thank you. And what is your sober date?
My sober date, it's a little bit of a gray area for me. I'm kind of like moving my sober date now to when I got like my mental health and everything in check. Like like everything kind of came together because I have my concurrent disorders with like my addictions and my mental health and things that I've been struggling with. So for me, putting my sober date not too long ago, August 11th, and I feel like that's just when everything just kind of like came together, got stabilized, feeling good. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Congratulations. 17
thank you.
days is so today we won't discuss your entire background on this episode since today is a special segment about how addiction contributes to toxic relationships, which I think you and I and a lot of people can relate to.
Absolutely.
So would you be able to take me through maybe your first experiences with relationships that included using, whether it was in your teen years or even recently, which ones stand out first and kind of what behaviors you analyzed while you were in addiction with somebody else?
I think my first ones like started actually pretty young. I started like drinking when I was 12. I started doing cocaine when I was 15. With that came like my girlfriends and I was a child of the 80s. My prime was in the 90s. Like it was kind of when I was young, a lot of people just they did cocaine, dated drug dealers. That's just kind of like we skipped school all the time. No one went to high school, younger girls dating older guys. So that's kind of when that age, like I'd say when I started like doing cocaine and like dating drug dealers, that was like when it kind of started. And I wouldn't say it became like an addiction then. It was just something I kind of did sometimes when it was around. I'd say my first like real relationship that like with us actually using together and when that toxicity like really came would be when I was 19. I was 19. I had met a guy, he lived in Calgary. He was friends with my friend's boyfriend who was a drug dealer. He also did the same thing in Calgary. And, from day one since we met, we were just kind of always together. So we were together for a couple years. And it was just from the very beginning, it was like a lot of drinking, like every time we get together, always drinking. And then he liked the drugs. So the cocaine would come in. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I wouldn't. That was never really like my drug of choice. Wasn't that? I mean, I wouldn't say no usually if it was there, but I also wouldn't like seek it out. But yeah, that relationship just, pardon me?
Like kind of the thing where you were just kind of using it to keep the night going, but it wasn't something where you had like a baggie in your hand at all times.
No, and not something I was ever buying. I'm like, I'm not wasting my money on that stuff.
Yeah,
But
that's how I
also,
wasn't.
looking back, I'm like, the sad thing is, like, that was the only thing that kept me from blacking out. Because once I stopped doing the drugs, I'll kind of get into that later. But then the blackouts came. So, like, I don't know. Like, but yeah, so that relationship, took after about a year and a half, it became super toxic. So it was, when we were drinking, when we were using, he was gambling and abusive. It turned just like fighting all the time. And then, the morning or a couple days later, so like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that and this and that. And then I just feel like when you get even one person in addiction, never mind two people together, like feeding off each other in that addiction, there's like that trauma bonding, there's that like those dopamine rushes, whether it's the drugs or the alcohol or the fighting or the making up and doing it all over again. I find it's just like that toxic cycle that's like so hard to get out of.
You
So
remember
that
what
would
kind of things you guys were fighting about? Like what is it, jealousy or kind of things like
jealousy.
that?
Jealousy was huge. Like it ended up that we just stopped going out because we go out to the bar together and it would be like, keep your eyes down, look at the ground, don't look at any other guys. If I made eye contact with another guy, it was like an absolute war. If I talked to one of his friends, if I danced by one of his friends, like any sort of like just any sort of like interaction with anyone, like, having a guy friend or anything. It was just like, it was just looking back, I'm just like, it's insane, but you're kind of so caught up in it. And then you're kind of so used to it and then we just stopped going out. And then it was just drinking and using at home and not going anywhere. Cause I'm like, I would rather just stay here and not have the drama than go out and have this like huge blow up in front of everybody. And God knows what's going to happen once we get home. So
His insecurities were making him controlling, it sounds like.
absolutely. And then I think the like drugs and the paranoia and then the alcohol and that like, like tough guy kind of thing. Like the first night we met, I was talking to a guy at the bar that I actually knew and he ended up getting in a huge fight outside the bar, really bad fight. And we all actually got arrested and taken down to the police station, spent a few hours in the drunk tank. Like it was red flag right there.
Yeah, so it started like that. So he got into a fight because of you, because he was interested in you, but then the cops came and saw that you guys were all intoxicated.
Yeah. So he actually started fighting this guy and all of his friends. So him and his friends now start a fight with this guy and all his friends. And now there's a big war outside. There's bottles flying, fists flying, like huge, massive fight all over this guy that I actually knew that was just like saying hi. He's just being like, hey, how's it going? My friend actually dated him before. So it was nothing, nothing to be worried about at all.
Yeah, so that was kind of your first impression of him, but you didn't see that as like a red flag going into the relationship at first, or you
I don't
kind of
think
ignored it because
I
you were
I
in.
think and I think just being so young, like being 19 and like, I don't know, like I always like, I was always looking for like that dopamine rush too, right? Like looking for those like, I always went for like the bad boys or like someone that's gonna, like those sorts of things just, that gave me that rush. Like it
Sinking.
almost makes you feel like at first like, oh, like that's kind of like he must really like me if he's willing to do that.
Yeah, so you think I had a lot to do with being young and he's an older guy, and I think in Canada you can go to bars at 19, or you could 18.
It's
Okay,
in
yeah, I remember
Alberta.
going. Yeah, how much older was he?
He was actually a year younger. So I was 19, he was 18.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
then how long were you guys in the relationship?
It lasted about 2 years. It was, it was the sober moments we were together, like, it was good. Like, we got along really good. The jealousy never went away. The jealousy carried over into, like, the sober stages as well. Not as bad as when we were, drinking or using together, but I think the end of it all, I mean, I just gotten a job for WestJet and I was doing some training in Calgary and we're supposed to be staying at the hotel like with everyone else. So I remember the night before I went to the hotel, I was supposed to be there that night and it was just like a full on like craziest fight like ever. Like the most physical, probably like yeah, it was terrible. And that was like the breaking point for me. And I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Were
Showing
you
up.
able to get out of that relationship without much drama, any restraining orders, anything serious like that?
No, no restraining orders with that one. It was hard to get out of. Like, I mean, especially when I was doing my training in Calgary, like he was showing up at my hotel and they had to switch me rooms and everyone's finding out about it, that I work with or has like suspicions about it and stuff. So it was super embarrassing. It's like I'm trying to like act like I'm good, like nothing's happening, and I'm dealing with like all this stuff behind the scenes that is just like stressing me out so bad. Well, finally, yeah. So finally, after that, finished my training, came back to Edmonton, and I was just done. I was like, I'm absolutely done. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, that's good. So, like, did that relationship give you kind of open your eyes going into other relationships, like what to look for, what not to look for, or did you kind of ignore some of those red flags from that previous relationship and going into some others where the similar things would happen?
Well, I tried to go the total extreme opposite. Right after I broke up with him, I met someone else, and a few months later, and it was like, this was another mistake on my part. So now I'm thinking, okay, I need a guy that doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs, has a good solid job, like a career, someone that's like not in this whole drug industry lifestyle, anything. So I meet someone, he worked at the hospital here in Edmonton, and I'm like, that was like, I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, I was smoking at the time. I was still drinking. I was still like dabbling in other things here and there. So, I mean, trying to date someone that straight is next to impossible because I mean, how do you relate to that? Or now I'm hiding things and now I'm getting like, we go out and I get like blackout drunk and he's like, what the, he gets 2 drinks. I've got like 2 bottles. So, needless to say, that one lasted quite a while. I mean, we did have a kid together, but ultimately it was 2 different lives. I was living 2 different lives. Essentially we grew apart, which was inevitable. So that one. And then I went straight back into, old patterns and old behaviors. And, even like, I'm just such a firm believer, like, people meet you where you're at and people match your energy. So, I mean, I could say, and I remember I used to say, I'm like, I attract all these like crazy guys and all these like controlling guys or these guys with these problems and addictions and things and like that. But I think the beautiful part of recovery is I'm like, on that step 4, when you get to that really nice column that says, and what was your part in all this? And I want to be like, what do you mean?
Taking
Like,
inventory.
what's my part in all this?
Yeah,
my
that's
last
tough.
time in my last time in treatment, I mean, like I've done 4 step 4s before. Like I'm not really new to the program, but this one I did my last time in treatment, I was like, I'm just gonna get like they're like, and the way she explained it, she's like, it doesn't have to be something bad that you did, but like what was your role? Like what did you do? And then just being able to sit there and think and be like, I can blame all these toxic guys that I've dated, and I can name so many things that these toxic guys did, but I also was bringing toxicity into the relationship. Like, I was bringing, like I realize now, like, I've been living with an addict mentality since, like, my teen years. Like, when I
Yeah.
started drinking, I started doing drugs, and I started getting into that whole thing. Like I had that, like I got those dopamine rushes from those certain things. So, that's what was familiar to me. It was comfortable to me. I didn't have like enough respect for myself. Couldn't, like I wasn't straight. I wasn't not drinking. I wasn't not doing other things. Like I still like to go out and stuff. So I'm like, I'm attracting what I'm putting out there.
What do you think? What toxic traits do you think you were bringing in? With the alcohol drinking and use. What were you? Were you bringing in jealousy or insecurities too? Were you bringing in, just kind of being more unpredictable because you were using and drinking? Like, what did you contribute? Do you think?
So I think my thing is like, I definitely have those. Like, I have the insecurities and I have that self doubt and stuff, but like mine are more inwards than outwards. So, like, I'm just the type of person, like, like, I've got like a wall up, and especially dealing with such a bad relationship at such a young age too. And I mean, I kind of don't let my wall down until like really, really trust someone, right? And like it's almost like that toxic trait I'm bringing in is like, I'm just waiting for them to do something. Like, I'm just waiting for, to kind of catch. I know they're going to do something. And the reason I know this is because I'm dating the same kind of guy that I've always dated. So, like,
Yeah.
it's predictable for me, which was oddly comforting, gave me like some sense of control, even though like you don't want it to happen. But I can be like, okay, well, I knew that was going to happen anyways. So I
Right.
feel like I'd be okay in the beginning, but like the minute that I'd find like text from another girl, or we get that gut instinct or that gut feeling that something's going on, I would just like, I'd be walls up, I'm off, I'm on a bender, you might not see me for 2 days, I'm just, I don't care anymore, so that's like my toxicity. And also, like just the drinking, like, I dated, my one ex was in rehab 8 times and struggled with like a lot of alcoholism and challenges through his years. And he was sober when we got together, and I remember being so resentful. I was like, he didn't want me to drink, and I was like, in that mindset, looking back, that's like so not supportive and so like actually immature looking back, because I'm like, you're the alcoholic, you have the problem. I'm not an alcoholic, because at this time I'm just a baby. I'm a baby alcoholic. I'm not a full blown alcoholic yet. I'm a binging alcoholic. I could go 6 months and not drink and go on a bender.
My ex-wife had gone to treatment because we were doing a lot of cocaine and drinking together, and she decided after talking to her counselor that she was going to go to treatment. And she went for, it was supposed to be 1 month. She stayed for 60 days. And that gave me 60 days to clean my act up by myself without her, and I did not clean my act up. When she got back, I was still going to bars, still buying bags of cocaine. Like, I felt so bad later on that I wasn't more supportive about it.
Yeah, and it's funny because you look back now and you can kind of like, when you're out of the addiction and like that fog lifts and you're looking back and you're like, why did I do that? Or I should have done this. Those shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? Like, and I think he saw that in me because he was an alcoholic. He saw how I drank. He saw how I blacked out. And he would say, you're an alcoholic. Like, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't drink every day. I'm like, I drink like once every 6 months or like once every 8 months, but
But
then
when you would go overboard,
oh, 100%. Like, by this time, I'm not doing drugs anymore. Like, that stopped early on, and now I'm just blacking out every time I drink. Yeah, so I remember
how
this.
much how much were you hiding drinking during relationships, would you say? And how much of a problem did that cause?
I wasn't hiding at that time just because I wasn't going out a lot. And then I would like, so say like every 6 months, I'd say like, I'm going to go out with my friends. And I would have like full intention, like 100% intention of having 1 or 2 drinks. Like I would not, I'm like, I'm not getting drunk. I'm going to show him I can go out, I can have a drink or two, and then come home. And if I came home, I would be black. And usually I wouldn't come home because I'd be so blacked out, I passed out, and one of my friends would have to take me to their house. So
Uh,
that just, yeah. So that caused like just so much drama, so much fighting, ultimate breakup for us. I would say that had a lot to do with it. Like, definitely. Like, maybe not the whole part of it, but I'd say like a solid like chunk of it had to do with that, and just not being able to trust me not keeping my word.
yeah.
I think like it's only been the last probably, I'd say, a year and a half where I went from like the baby alcoholic to like the full blown, like, guy in the room that's like drinking alone in his room, shades drawn, doors locked, phones off,
Yeah.
ordering booze, DoorDash, Uber Eats, whatever, in my pajamas for days. I, that that actually came from a relationship.
How did
That
that, can you explaining
yeah.
that?
Yeah, that this was so I had had almost a year of sobriety. So I had gotten sober in January 2023. And I was I was going to be coming up on my 1 year. So it was September at the time. So my 1 year is coming up like very beginning of January. And I'm just doing awesome. I'm like, I got the kids, I have my place, I'm working, like life's good, I'm feeling good. And then I meet this guy, and I haven't dated anyone in like 3 years. And I'm like, when I date someone, I'm going to be straight up, my expectations, blah, 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 what I'm looking for. Yeah, well, people lie. So unfortunately, the guy I met was a complete pathological liar, which I didn't know at the time. And he looked good on paper. He's got, a great job. He owns a house. He's got, a nice car. It looks like he has his stuff together, owns a business, this and that. Like, I'm like, wow, like, is this like, this might actually like be a good relationship, like not a toxic relationship. Like, I'm in a good place.
Yeah.
This is the most toxic relationship I've ever been in my life. So we start dating, and things are going okay. About 2 months, so I'm still sober. He drinks. The first date we go on, he gets wine, and I don't tell him I'm sober at the time because I'm just like, I don't even know if I like this guy, right? So I just say like, oh, I'm not drinking, whatever. I'm driving, and I have a tea, and I was like good in my sobriety at the time. Like, I was solid. It only took 3 months. It was like December 23rd, I think that it was, that I started drinking again. Went to a Christmas party. And so, he drank. He was a social drinker, but like he drank all the time when he was home, like on the weekends home from work. So within 3 months, I'm drinking again. And now I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do it like sometimes. And I'm just going to like, maybe like control it. Like I always say I'm going to. Then I'm just getting these like gut instincts, things aren't right. And I start finding out that, I listen to people. And like when your gut intuition tells you someone's lying to you, like you remember details. So I'm starting to catch him in these lies and stuff. And then, long story short, finally find out after we've been together for months that he's cheating on me.
Like long-term cheating or cheated a time or two? Not that it
So
makes a difference. It's bad either
yeah.
way.
So I found out, I kind of found out like about the first one. So he told me he was going on a ski trip with this guy. And then I remember like a month or two later, I'm like, oh, when you went on that ski trip with, and I said the name, he's like, what are you talking about? I never went on a ski trip with him. And it was like, okay, I knew it. Like I just had a feeling, didn't talk to him that weekend, didn't call me, like just kind of went MIA. Then I'm getting messages from this girl, from two different girls actually, that, telling me about him and all this stuff. And he's with me on New Year's. He's texting this other girl he was dating, telling her he misses her. He's sending this other girl pictures. Like it was wild. But by this time, I'm already like kind of invested, and I didn't find out right away. And I was like, for some reason, like, for me, it's just like it's hard to leave. Like I find like that, like I'm not one that can just be like done, like we're done and cut it off right there. Like that's been tough for me to like learn how to do. And you always seem
Why do you
to
think that way? If you don't mind me asking.
I think that honestly, it just came down to like how I was feeling inside. And I'm like, like I feel like I don't know if it's a gift or a curse. Like you see, like I can see the good in people. Like, I'm like, yeah, he did this, but this, and it's like letting your brain like kind of think of the good over the bad. Yeah, like it was just like a real twisted way of thinking. So then
Are
when
there the things that you think about when it comes to people that hurt you, like to justify their actions? Like, yeah, he may have done this wrong, but like he had this happen to him, so I forgive him or
yeah,
something.
he had a tough childhood, or he had this, or, he didn't have this, or yeah, like definitely like justifying like kind of their actions, and, their parents weren't around, or his dad died, or whatever it is, it's like maybe that's why they act like this. So as I'm finding out about all these things happening, instead of leaving, what I start doing is I just start drinking more. And I just start drinking because like now, like, I don't know how to leave. I feel stuck. I can't cope. And this is where like the daily drinking starts. It started off 2 days a week. Then it was 3 days a week, four, five, I'm buying coolers, like I'm buying packs. Now I'm hiding. Now I'm
Did it
hiding.
start off social and then it just gradually escalated?
Yeah, it didn't take long though. Like I'd say like it started from that December, by the time but I'd say it was just like only a couple months before I was like, started, because like it was a couple months and I start finding out all this stuff. And I think like by doing that too, it made me feel so low, because when I drink, I would feel so bad about myself and like my self-esteem and, that guilt, shame, remorse, all that stuff. And that's the only way I could stay. Because I know if I had any self-respect for myself, if I had recovery, if I had like, if I loved myself enough, there's no way I would stay in a relationship like that. So now I'm doing things that make me feel guilty and like I'm less than and I'm not worthy of a good relationship, just to, stay in this relationship essentially. And that
So
went
your
on.
self-esteem got lower, and you just thought, okay, well, I think so lowly of myself that this is what I deserve, so I'm just going to keep doing it.
Exactly. And the more it kept happening, and then I just kept doing it. I mean, at first, and then it was just at night. And then it was like, this went on, I think we're together a year and a half. And, it was just like, it never ended. It never ended. Like the messages from other girls, finding stuff on his phone, this and that. Like it never ended. And I just started to spiral. So even by the time we broke up, so it was about a year. So it was September when we started dating. By the next August, I was like pretty much drinking daily, and I was just using it to cope at this point, because now I'm lost. Like I hate this relationship, but now I hate myself too. So now I don't deserve better. We finally broke up in August. I guess that would have been 2024 of August. We broke up. And the only reason we broke up is because my one ex wanted to get back together. My ex that had been in rehab 8 times and stuff, like my ex from a couple exes ago. And in my head, like, I mean, that's what I wanted, like, realistically, and maybe had I been sober, like, maybe that would have turned out a little different, but, like, I've already spiraled to the bottom. Like, I'm already, like, at a low point, and he didn't realize, like, what was going on with me. Like, I kept it pretty hidden from him. So, I break up with this other guy. He's crazy. He's showing up at my house. He's stalking me. He's now calling, the one I'm back with now, telling him all these lies, stories, had to get a restraining order on him. Things are nuts. Like, he's driving by my house all the time. And then he starts dating a girl in Beaumont that he was cheating with. And then I had to see him all the time. He's, I was just driving by her house to go to the gym. Well, your girlfriend lives on the other side of town, but okay. So, yeah. So I, try to get back with my ex. And that's when the hiding really, really hit, because he was still sober. And I couldn't stop. I mean, I wanted to, like, a part of me is I want to put my family back together. I want the kids to see their mom and dad together, but like, I'm gone. I'm not pulling out of this without help. And I didn't even know that. I just thought I'll be able to stop like I usually can, because I've always been able to stop, right? Like I always have in the past. I did
Yeah.
a
Do you feel like you were kind of lying to yourself because you had hopes that you would stop and be able to get your family back together, but you knew that you
yeah,
were just going to continue drinking?
couldn't
Did you have
stop.
plans to like go to treatment? Was that your
Not No, like I actually at this point thought I could stop. I was like, you know what? And I feel like that's all he wanted, was for me to stop drinking. And like, and I wanted to, like I really did, but I
yeah,
couldn't. I actually
yeah,
couldn't, because
physically dependent on it?
physically dependent, and like just mentally, like I was in such a bad place from that last relationship. Like it was so toxic, and I was still reeling over it, that looking back, I wish I would have just taken some time, got myself together, maybe got some help, maybe got myself like, back on track, instead of jumping into like that, because that was like a recipe for disaster. Because now I'm really hiding, and now I have the most creative hiding spots. I'm tying knots in like the hoodies of like hanging in my closet, and I'm lining coolers with my hoodies. I've got like little
Yeah.
Mickeys everywhere. And I meet like the hiding spots were insane. And I'd be like, I'm gonna brush my teeth. And I've got like stuff underneath and I'm like chugging coolers and I'm brushing my teeth. And then I'm genuinely thinking in my head that he's not gonna notice or I'm not gonna
Yeah.
smell like alcohol, right? We go
What
out
were
for
some of the excuses you'd make if he accused you or asked you what was wrong? You know, did you have go-to excuses like, "Oh, no, I'm just tired," or I've had
yeah.
a bad yeah.
But he'd always catch me because he's not dumb because he's an addict as well, you know? So he would I would try that, you know, but and he'd also known me for 20 years. So, I mean, he knows
Yeah.
when I'm off or I'd be like,
You're
"It's
not
just
fooling him.
yeah." I'd be like,
So, like,
"It's your meds," you know? No, it's not just your meds.
I understand. Do you feel like, you know, because it sounds like you did a few relationships back to back to back. Do you feel
Yeah.
like you rushed into them because you were a little scared to be alone and see what that was like, or you just
No,
felt like you wanted companionship instead of a relationship?
I feel like, and it's funny because like relationships are actually like probably one of my biggest triggers. And, you know, my therapist even said that in treatment. She wanted me to stay another month. I'd already been there 2 months. I'm like, first of all, I'm not paying another 12 grand and I don't have it. And I'm like, I'm not staying for Christmas too, is my thing. I'm like, I'm going home. And she's like, Shauna, I need to work on relationships with you. Like, you don't understand. I'm like, why? And she goes, "No, like, I really, really we need to work on this together." And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, I'm not staying." Part of me is like, and now looking back, I'm like, "Oh, okay, now I know why she wanted to work on these relationships with me."
And what are
But
you
like,
realizing?
I wish, or, you know, or maybe I'd like, you know, I don't know. At the time, I'm just like, why? These guys were just like, they were shitty relationships, whatever. It's in the past, you know, but the past comes back to haunt you, right? Like it's, you know, I don't know. It's hard because, you know, I look back and I can say, like I said, I can say they're bringing in toxicity. I'm bringing in toxicity. With my addiction comes lies, comes sneakiness, comes, you know, like complete dishonesty. And I mean, you can't have a relationship that's not built on honesty and respect, right? So,
Perfectly said.
yeah, I tend to thrive
Yeah.
on my own. And that's a scary thing too. So like you know, like I do good on my own. I'm happy. I do good with the kids on my own. I get into a relationship and it's like a crash. Like I will crash out. And I still have to figure out like why, you know, why does
You
that happen?
do you feel like you just get consumed by the relationship and it kind of takes all your attention away from yourself, so you're not taking care of yourself anymore, you're just focused on the relationship?
I feel like I shut down. And I don't know if that makes like I feel like I emotionally like because I can disassociate and I think like I've had just such bad relationships with men like through my addiction and their addiction as well that when I'm in a relationship like I shut down emotionally. Like I'm always in that like panicky state. Like, you know, like almost like after a night of drinking and you wake up and you're kind of like panicky. It's like I'm
Yeah,
waiting.
like, "What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong?"
Yeah, and even when you're like when like, you know, and I would date guys that yell and like I'm not a yeller and I'm like,
I
you
hate
know, that's
yelling, oh my gosh. I freak out when I get yelled at.
right. I shut right. I'm like, oh hell no, I'm out. I just leave. I'm like, nope.
Same here, I'm not a yeller, the last thing I don't remember the last time I yelled or screamed or anything, so it's like so when
Just
somebody does it, I freeze up
me
now, I'm just like,
too.
"Don't hit me, don't hit me."
I
Yeah, yeah.
especially
Yep, that's only one example, oh my god. I've got some stories, one girl tried to choke me to death, like, hands around my neck, and I was waiting I was waiting to see if she would actually continue doing it because I knew that I was strong enough to take her hands off, but I was like, "Is she really gonna, like, actually hold on," you know? And it was like 30 seconds went by, I'm like, "Okay," and then ripped them off. I was just like, "Wow, I didn't think you were gonna try to kill me." But, yeah, no, I've
drinking.
been in some
What do you
interesting situations.
yeah, was she sober at the time? Because that's pretty scary if she was. I mean, it's scary
No, she
either.
was not sober. She was not sober, but there were some instances in one relationship where the girl was sober really often and very violent. Like I was good at making smart ass comments. I'm guilty
Yeah.
of that. I know how to get under your skin if we're arguing, like, and I try to be more mature, obviously, now that I'm sober, but like, one of my toxic traits would just be to like, okay, well, I'm going to say this. It's like kind of a little jab, it's going to piss her off. Next thing you know, a lamp is getting thrown at my head. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got.
Always.
And sadly, I was so toxic that sometimes I would feel like satisfied that I made it happen, but at the same time, I'm like, this relationship is horrible if I'm finding throwing things at each other normal. And I never threw anything or anything, but I'm just saying, like, if that's becoming a normalized thing, probably need to get out of this relationship. But
Well, and then you're getting that, you're like, oh, I got her. You're getting that little dopamine hit that you got her so mad that she's
yeah.
up at you. And then you're like, wait a minute. This is not
Oh, yeah.
healthy at all.
There was another time where I was just sleeping soundly, and I'm a diva. I sleep with eye covers on,
Stop. No.
and earplugs. I sleeping all like pretty, just enjoying my sleep, and all of a sudden, just whack, my whole face just got punched, and then all of a sudden, I'm just bleeding everywhere in a, in a hotel room, and I'm just like shocked because I was sleeping soundly, and then I was like, I just got hit while I was sleeping because she was mad.
Why? Did she go through your phone? Where'd you meet these girls? Did they like get paroled out or just like Tinder or what? I'm just kidding.
There were restraining orders on a couple of girls,
Yeah,
a
fair.
couple of them in jail, like not because I called police, but because people saw them.
Yeah,
Sadly, I met a lot of these girls at bars, which
yeah.
is not the place to meet your significant other.
I mean, typically no.
I mean, I've heard of stories where it works out, but that's if I'm living that lifestyle, I wanted the other person to live the same lifestyle. Because whenever
Yeah,
I tried to get in relationships with girls that weren't partying hard, I always felt like I was immediately going to have to hide things. So I never pursued it. And I didn't want to have to hide everything
so
because
you
I got really good at it. Why would you want to be good at lying? But that was something, that I would become good at if I had to. But most smart women would catch on to what my habits were. Like, oh, he's up till 2 a.m. every night, like out and about. I don't want to date that guy, so.
exactly. And it's more fun to like, I mean, if that's where you're at, like when I say meet people where they're at, like if that's where you were at that time, it's so much more fun to do it with your partner. I mean, and that sounds terrible. It does, but I don't want to have to be hiding. I don't want to have to be sneaking off. I don't want to have these like, you can't do, like, I hate being told what to do. I don't want someone telling me you can't, because you know what? Like, I will. Like, and I mean, that's just, it's immature. Yeah. But it's like, it's that defiance too. And it's that comes with, I don't know, just personality addiction, like I definitely, that's not a trait that I'm brought with me into my sobriety. I still don't like people telling me what to do, but I don't tell people what to do. And, like I've got friends that aren't sober and stuff. I don't sit there and say to them, you're an alcoholic, you shouldn't drink. I say I meet my friends where they're at. You do you,
Yeah.
I do me. That's what someone else does is none of my business, unless it's really hurting them, or and then I'll just say, listen, like if you need help or someone to talk to, I'm here, like But there's nothing worse than telling an addict you have to stop drinking. Because
Do you think it's like a double-edged sword going into relationships where it's like, yeah, I'm glad that they party too, and I have somebody I can go out and do these things with, and they're not going to judge me or tell me to stop. But also with that, you're getting the fights, the jealousy, the paranoia, the
yeah.
insecurities, the possible cheating, things like that. Like it's just some good, but a lot of bad.
Yep. And that's the sad thing. I feel like, like if you're in addiction, and this is just my opinion, if you're in addiction with your partner, that shit's not going to be healthy. I just like that. I'm sorry, but with addiction comes toxicity. It's
Yeah.
just, that's what I've experienced. I've never had a healthy relationship that had anything to do with addiction, like ever in my life. I
Well, now that,
mean,
sorry, I'll let you finish.
no,
Now that you're going to go into like relationships with a sober, clear mind and your eyes are open to what do you think you're not looking for? What do you think you'll avoid and be like, heck no, I'm not even going to risk it this time? Like, what are some certain things you want to look for?
So a big thing for me is I got to take some time right now and work on me and just
That's
get to know
very
like who I am. Like I know even my addiction counselor, she said to me last week, she said, "Who's Shauna?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, who are you? What do you like? Tell me about yourself." And I'm stunted. I'm like, I don't know. I like to do puzzles sometimes when I was in rehab, like and sometimes when I'm out. I'm like, but I gotta learn to love myself enough that I can bring myself, from here to here, that when I'm in a relationship with someone that meets me here, you know.
yeah.
Love. So for me, that means, down the road when I'm ready and I'm feeling like I can get in a relationship again, it has to be sober.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a given because, I mean, as much as I'd love to say, like, "I'm never gonna drink again," I'm not willing to even risk it. Like, I don't wanna be around it. I don't care if my friends drink and stuff, but, like, my partner, like, someone that, like, I'm with, like, I can't do it. Like, I can't risk my sobriety for that. So, sobriety, I want someone in the program. That's just my own personal thing because I want someone to share my recovery with. And I mean, that's
Yeah.
not maybe like a set in stone. Like I would just like that. Like, I see these cute couples go to AA meetings together and they got their Timmies and they're older and they've been together for years and they share their sobriety and they like support each other. Like I love that. Like and I need
Go with
someone.
my mother every day, and everybody thinks it's adorable.
Yes, I go to meetings with my mom sometimes too, and people are like, "I just love you two when you both come," you know? My mom and I are total opposite. She's so quiet and reserved, and I'm like, "Hey."
Yeah, it's like my mom. She's this quite sweet little lady, but when she starts talking or making fun of me in front of the group, everybody's like, "God, she's hilarious," you know?
At your
But
expense, you're like, "Thanks, mom."
I don't know, she just made a comment the other day, we were talking about dancing, and she's like, "Oh, Ryan couldn't even dance, like, we went to this wedding together, and he didn't dance because he was sober, but he couldn't dance when he was drinking anyways." I'm like, "Screw you, I thought I was a great dancer." Yeah. Thought I knew what I was doing, but
Man, I was like, I bet you if we would've saw, like, videotapes of ourselves dancing, like, I would've been like, I'm never dancing again."
oh, yeah, I know. I danced in front of the entire wedding at my sister's wedding a couple years ago, and I was on whiskey, and I think I was, like, the best dancer on the face of the earth, but I saw the
Michael
video, and I'm
Jackson.
like, "Oh." Yeah. I thought I was breaking it. But, yeah, so you're looking for sobriety. I mean, I'm not, I think working on yourself is important, so
Yeah.
you're thinking you're looking for somebody that wants to grow as well, somebody that's always working on themselves.
Always
That's important.
working, always growing, just, like just always I don't know. I need someone. I mean, because I have a past. I've been through stuff. I've been through traumas. I've been through addiction. I've been through like loss and grief, and all that kind of stuff. And maybe one day, like when I do tell my story and stuff, like that will come out. But I can come through the other side, and like I've managed to keep, I think, like a little spark in me. Like I dimmed my light pretty hard, like through all the years. But I feel like I'm still a good person, and I still have people's best interests at heart when I'm sober.
And the right person will see that.
Yeah, but I want them to be like that too, like kind and like, compassionate and loving.
Empathetic.
And I'm telling you, if a guy goes MIA on me for a weekend, no explanation. I would just like that.
Yeah.
That's given.
Yeah.
Or I get
That's
that
always a
gut
red flag when
instinct.
people just disappear like that.
They say, "Oh, it's always something." And I mean, like, I'm not a dumb girl, I'm not saying I'm innocent and I've been innocent. I'm like, I've lied too. And I've used these lies before. Like,
I know.
it's not something to be proud of, but we've lived it,
In any relationship, you just wanna feel important, and you want the person to make you a priority, but also be working on themselves too, I think.
for
So,
sure. So you have like
yeah.
And I'm not saying like join your recovery together for sure. I think like you need your individuality. And, I do a lot of women's groups as well, which I love because women share a lot differently when we're together. And we talk about this kind of stuff, like, this kind of like, the relationships and, abuse in relationships during addiction and traumas. And, that stuff sticks with you. Like, and not just for
Yeah.
women, men too. And I know men's groups, like I've heard they share different in men's groups and we share different in women's groups. It's more intimate. You get into the feels a lot more, like as women usually do. So, I think like for me in the future, like having, a partner who has their recovery and my recovery, we have our recovery too, you
Yeah,
know?
that's good.
Yeah.
Individual recoveries and recovery together, that's good.
Yeah.
I've noticed when I'm with guys, when there so happens to be no women in their group, all us guys act so much more different and get so much more open about things. And,
Right?
we talk like we're on a golf course all of a sudden. It's like, it's kind of cool though. We like bonding with other alcoholics like that are the same gender and you guys can all relate to each other. We're like, oh yeah, I've got this many ex-wives or I've been through this.
Yeah, like, and because I feel like, I mean, as much as like I do love co-ed groups too, because you get to like hear a lot of different stories, but yeah, the shares are different. The shares are so different. So, and you can find like I know guys are gonna sit there and be like, say they're still a sex addict and tell some crazy sex stories with a bunch of women and older, especially older women or young women, any woman like sitting there and telling. I just feel like I wouldn't do that if there's, like, a bunch of guys in the room. I'd be like, "Come on." You censor
There's this,
yourself a little
there's
bit,
this
right?
sweet old ladies in my group, and sometimes they'll open up about stuff and they'll be like, "Oh, back in my 20s, I was, waking up in a different bed every night." I'm like, "Whoa, I thought you were just a sweet old lady." So it's
Like,
kind of
because
cool what you
that's gonna
people
be us
can.
one day. We're gonna be, like, old
Yeah,
and be like, "Guess what I did when I was young?" And our, like, grandkids are gonna be like, "You did what?" Like, no
I
way.
know, right? Everybody's got a past, like you said.
Totally.
Eventually, I am gonna wanna, if whenever you're comfortable and ready to hear your like full background story on like your traumas and addiction. But for this topic, do you feel like you bring a lot of those traumas into relationships and that's something you're trying to work on not bringing into future relationships?
Yeah, and that's why I say I've gotta take this time to and I'm working, like I'm actually finally working with a psychiatrist now and, like, just kinda getting to the root of, I got my diagnosis with ADHD, and I think I just, I'm just kind of figuring a lot of things out right now, like, in my own head, and I feel good. I feel so much better. My head's clear, my conscience is clear, my heart is feeling better, it's like the feeling again. But I do bring trauma into relationships. And maybe with that trauma too comes some toxicity. And maybe with not dealing with my past addictions and forgiving myself totally, I'm bringing that toxicity too, right? I'm also bringing up walls that I built from past relationships, from being hurt, from being cheated on, from being lied to. I'm bringing guilt from other relationships, from things that I've done in other relationships. So I think like a matter of like that self acceptance and that self love and letting go of like things in the past as well. Like I don't want to have, I don't like, I want to be in a healthy relationship. Like that's my goal eventually. God willing, that's, maybe like in the cards for me, maybe not. But,
Yeah.
I don't want to bring that stuff in. I want to come in healthy. Like I want to come
Yeah.
in a good spot. I want to come in at 100%, like with trust. I'm going to give you, and I know me, like where, especially where I am right now. Like if I make a commitment to be with someone, like I'm all in. Like I'm not doing these toxic things. Like, I'm not talking to other guys. I'm not gonna be entertaining that. I'm not gonna, like I'm gonna treat my partner with every single ounce of respect that I want to be treated with. And I'm gonna act how I would want my partner to act if it were me, right? Like, and that's just a respect thing. And that term like a respect and a love and how it should be. And I want to be able to come in and like meet someone that doesn't make me go, I don't know, like I'm getting like, those weird
How much
vibes.
how much easier do you think all those things that you just mentioned, do you think those things will be a lot easier sober, I assume, right?
100%. Like for me, I mean, and I'm not saying that all of us in sobriety are going to be perfect. Like we're all works in progress, right? But I know that that's something I'm going to bring to the table. But I want to meet someone that I can feel I can trust them with that, like that we're on that same level. And once that's and not being broken and let down, because once those things start happening, that's when my walls go up. And that's when I'll disassociate so fast. I'll just be like, boom, like disassociate. Like, and I don't want to do that.
I feel like when you get sober and you're about to go in relationships, you kind of have to be prepared to handle those things, because if you want to stay sober, you can't get stressed and resort to alcohol or drugs anymore. You actually have to figure out how to process it, deal with it, put your wall up, but in a healthy way.
Yeah. And I think being able to communicate, because for me, communication was so hard before. Like I would just run away. I'd run away and F you, like you're going to like be an
Make it
asshole.
impossible to work out.
I feel like, like I'll go drink and hurt myself. Why? Like I'm not doing myself any favors. But, I think the healthy relationship, like not putting those walls up, like saying like that hurt me or you hurt me, like let's talk, and having that communication. And that's something that like I'm just learning now, and how to communicate and set boundaries, and not
Yeah.
disassociate, not run away, and not turn to like bad habits. So,
Right.
I'm like a toddler right now.
Like you said, two of the most important words that I heard were communication and boundaries. And those are like two things that need to be practiced in every good relationship, I think. Going into like relationships sober, you know how there's that rule, is like an unwritten rule that people are supposed to wait a year. Do you think there's good reasoning behind that?
This is so funny. So my sponsor, she's so funny. They say this, right? So when I was in treatment, and it's like, who came up with the year? Like I don't get it. Like I mean, it took me how many years to get here? Am I going to be relationship worthy? Why in 12 months? Like how do you know? But I don't know. I just think it's funny how they put the like 1 year time thing on it. Like that I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the whole 1 year thing. I know definitely in early sobriety, like really early sobriety, probably the best decision, especially if the other person's in early sobriety. I'd say that's a recipe for disaster. Not all the time, works for some people. One of my counselors in treatment, I mean, we found out because we used to go to NA meetings all the time, and she'd go with her husband, and she never told us, but we found out at one NA meeting that her husband was sharing at, that she was 3 months sober when they started dating. And this is like 18 years ago. He had 5 years, she had 3 months, but they're still together. Yeah.
So they met in treatment or met through the program?
Yeah, he's 13 stepper. Just kidding.
13? I was going to use that term, but I held back. So I'm glad you did.
13 7.
Yeah, I was fine that that's funny, but if it works for people, it works. If they have a healthy relationship, good for them, you know?
But when we did find out, when we asked her about it, she said, I am the exception, not the norm. I am not telling you guys to go out and do this. So, I mean, for me, like, I'm not putting like a time limit on it. Like, I mean, I just like, I know I got some work to do. I also know, like, I'm just a firm believer that, like, when I'm on my path and when I'm sober and when I'm doing good, the things that are supposed to come to me are going to come to me. When I go
Exactly.
off track and I go off the rails and I go like, I'm not on my path, nothing's coming to
Everything.
me that's supposed to come to
Nothing good.
me.
Yeah,
No,
nothing good.
nothing good.
What
So,
if you were if we had some listeners for this episode that are, either going through addiction or in toxic relationships or both right now, is there any advice you would tell them as far as how to manage it, whether to get out or not, or how to handle that situation?
yeah, absolutely. I think the best advice that my mom ever gave me, and she taught me this at a young age, and unfortunately, I took a long time to process it, but you can't change people. If you're in a toxic relationship right now, and especially if there's addiction from one side, from both sides, that's not going to change. until you change. As much as I could tell someone, don't yell at me, don't do drugs, don't drink, don't do this, you know what? They're going to do what they want to do. And I either accept it or I have to leave. So I would say, like, if you can't accept your partner where they are right now with what they're doing and things are toxic and things are not good, you got to leave. Either things are going to change and you're going to come back together, or things aren't going to change and you're going to be better off. Like, as much as it sucks having to leave someone, especially if you have those trauma bonds or you have those trouble leaving or you have that low self-esteem because you've been in addiction for a long time, you know, you got to just muster up enough love for yourself and just say, like, I deserve better. And whether that's treatment for you or moving out or going back with family for a little while, like, just doing the next best thing to get out of that bad thing.
Well said. Honestly, that was really good advice. Like, and then after getting out of that relationship, just focus on yourself for a while, right?
For a while. Don't monkey bar. No monkey bars. That's the worst thing to do.
Exactly.
Like, you're just go put your backpack on, hop on the monkey bars, take your backpack to that next one, and away we go. And then it's just gonna, again, I don't think I have much else to add other than reach out. Like, that's the biggest thing. That was the hardest thing for me to do, was to learn how to reach out. You know, whether it was like embarrassment or shame or guilt or whatever it was, I never I couldn't get it. I would want someone to call me if they were struggling and they're like, I'm in this relationship and I don't know what to do and I don't know how to get out, you know. Reach out to your family, your parents, your friends, like someone, like, just talk. Like, even if you don't feel comfortable, someone, like some professional, like, you know, sometimes you're so caught up in the chaos and you can't think clearly. And especially when addiction is involved. Like, I found that with myself. Like, I couldn't think clearly. Like, I knew what was happening wasn't right and I knew it wasn't healthy, but I couldn't think clearly enough to know how to, like, piece it together, how to get out. You know, you get those numbers in AA for a reason, and these women want you to call them.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.
Great outfit.
Thank you. It's so hot. I'm like, I totally get, I'm like, I'm gonna tell him I have no shirt on. He's gonna be like, oh my God, go put a shirt on.
You covered a lot of bases, like, in 1 hour, so I'm impressed. It sounds like you have as much experience as I do, if not more.
Yeah, I think we're both pretty experienced. No, I mean, I think we covered a lot. Like, yeah, we did cover a lot, didn't we? No, I don't think I have much else to add other than reach out. Like, that's the biggest thing. That was the hardest thing for me to do, was to learn how to reach out. You know, whether it was like embarrassment or shame or guilt or whatever it was, I couldn't get it.